Hi, this week's mindfulness meditation is on the topic of anger and resentment and bringing mindfulness to help us when those kind of feelings arise and how to deal with them without drinking. And we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, I have this PDF file from Tara Brach. That's TaraBrach.com, and Tara does guided meditations and talks, which I use a lot for my own practice, and which you might find very helpful as well. But these PDF files of 8 essential tips to nourish your meditation practice. And if you would like a copy of this, please email me at nanatrains, that's nanatrain with an S on the end, at gmail.com, and I'll send it to you. But basically, just for now, Tara calls mindfulness is a present-centered, non-judging awareness. With practice, you'll find you're increasingly at home in your own life. Peaceful, clear, and open-hearted. And this allows for a natural connectedness and intimacy with others. And Tara recommends that you practice daily, even if it's for the shortest of times. Now, I've talked about this before. I've talked about it on these sessions and in blogs on Soberistas. Eckhart Tolle says that sometimes all it takes to interrupt the flow of head chatter, the flow of thought, is 3 conscious deep breaths. So let's do that now. Let's take 3 conscious deep breaths. So breathing in and out. And the key word in that particular little practice is conscious, bringing an awareness to the breath, taking your awareness away from your thoughts and bringing them to the breath, to the anchor of the breath. And yet, as I say, we use the breath because we breathe all the time. That's one thing we all have in common, and that's one thing we do. Our bodies do. We don't do it. You don't do it. Your body does it. And you wouldn't be alive if you didn't. And so the one thing that is there for you all the time as an anchor for your mindfulness is your breath. The other thing that Eckhart recommends when you're going about your daily life in relation to mindfulness is to bring mindfulness to the things that you do routinely as part of your daily life, such as washing your hands. So actually washing your hands without thinking about anything else but washing your hands. Feel the water on your hands. Feel the temperature of the water and the sensation of wetness on your hands. Add some soap and be aware of the smell of the soap and the feeling as you lather the soap into your hands. Wash your hands thoroughly, rinse your hands, rinse the soap off, Be aware of doing that. And then take the towel and dry your hands. Not like that. Dry your hands completely. Dry your hands. And be aware of what you're doing. Not of anything else, that where you're going to go when you leave the bathroom, what you're going to be doing, what you interrupted in order to come to the bathroom. None of that. Just bring your awareness to what you're doing now. What you're doing now is washing your hands and drying your hands. And if you happen to have some hand cream by the side of your hand basin, maybe treat your hands to a little massage with hand cream. And then go about your day. And it's not actually something that takes half an hour or even 10 minutes. It's just, it takes as long as you let it take, but it doesn't have to be. It's just a little mindfulness exercise that you can do in the ordinary run of things in your day. If you happen to be out and about with friends, having a coffee or having lunch or something like that, and you go in to the ladies' room, to the gents, take that little moment to wash your hands thoughtfully, mindfully washing your hands. So that's another little mindfulness practice that you can do on a daily basis. So as I said, Tara Brach says, even for the shortest of times. The poet Rumi asks, do you make regular visits to yourself? Whether it's a 5 minutes, 15 minutes or 45 minutes, what most matters is the rhythm of a daily practice. It's helpful to have a present time rather than leaving it for when you feel up to it, when you're in the mood. And to practice in a place that is quiet, protected from interference and interruption and distraction, and conducive to presence. And what does she mean by that? For you, it'll be different for all of us. But what it is for me is it needs to be reasonably tidy. I can get distracted by loads of clothes hanging around the place, or the place being in a mess. I do just tidy up my little space, where my mindfulness space first, and prepare myself. Sometimes have some incense or a little candle, little one of these tea lights. This is a vegan tea light. No bees were interfered with in the production of this tea light. Actually, let's light it now. And just have set the scene for yourself. And then there's a lot of other advice coming from Tara Brach in this PDF file. Attitude is everything, she says. The biggest reason that people quit meditation is because they judge themselves. They're expecting results. They're expecting quick results. We live in the world of the undo button and the remote control and immediate gratification. So we judge ourselves. Don't turn your meditation into a should. I should be doing this. No self-criticism in relation to your meditation. Pay attention to your posture, and she gives notes about sitting upright and letting your hands rest comfortably on your knees or on your lap, letting your eyes close, or if you prefer, leave your eyes open, but soften the gaze. Arrive in your body. Select an anchor, which we talked about your breath being an anchor for present. Or the body. You might place your attention on the sensations and in a particular part of your body, perhaps your hands, your feet, your belly, or your lips, maybe. Choose an area that feels neutral, not particularly pleasant or unpleasant, just neutral. And of course you can combine this with an awareness of your breath. So if, for example, if you were using your belly as your anchor, then you can feel the rise and fall of your belly as the air passes in and out of your body. Or you could use sounds, listening to sounds around you as they arise and fall away. That can be distracting sometimes because you're trying to identify the sound and you find yourself concentrating on what is that sound, what's making that sound. So sometimes sounds can, but if it's bird song or just the sound of a breeze going through the trees, or just normal everyday sounds that don't require you to identify them. Okay? Keep coming back. So what you're quietening the mind, you're trying to train. What we're doing is we're in training, we're training the mind. But there's a kind of misconception that the goal of meditation is to get rid of thoughts. And we can't really do that. The mind's job is to think. The mind, as Tara Brach says, secretes thoughts like the body secretes enzymes. So don't be at war with your thoughts. Accept them, don't judge them, and then let them pass. Bring an interest and a friendliness to them. Add to the shifts from thoughts to presence. And keep coming back to presence. Keep coming back to whatever your object of meditation is, your breath, or your body, or sounds, or whatever it happens to be. It might be a piece of music, a calm and soothing piece of music. I use sometimes Clair de Lune by Debussy, which is a beautiful piano piece that I use to sometimes just clear my mind. Remember kindness. If you encounter difficult emotions or fears or confusion, sadness or hurt while you're meditation, offering yourself kindness. Self-compassion. We've talked about that before too. You might, and this is something that Tara Brach recommends all the time, you might gently lay your hand over your heart and send a message of care to the vulnerable place inside you that's feeling the difficult emotions. And then, if I send you this, if you let me know if you want these essential tips from Tara Brach, and then it's got a link to her website there as well to help you find all of that. So that's Tara. Now we're going to talk about anger for a minute. So anger is one of the components of the acronym HALT, H-A-L-T. And HALT stands for hunger, anger, loneliness, and tiredness. And some people prefer HALT B and add boredom to the end of that as well. And these are all recognized triggers for cravings in addiction. The AA uses the acronym HALT. And it's useful to learn techniques for dealing with these things before, for instance, anger gets out of proportion and we end up in soothing ourselves in an unhealthy way. And we all know what that means. This particular exercise that we're going to be doing now, you can use any time to help to alleviate feelings of anger and resentment. And again, Don't be self-critical about feeling anger and resentment. It's a human condition. It's part of the human condition. We all feel anger and resentment from time to time. It may be related to memories or unprocessed energy that has built up. And mindfulness has been shown to help reduce anxiety, depression, pain and fatigue, to improve self-esteem and energy, to increase self-mastery and motivation, and help with healing and relaxation. So for all of these reasons, it's a wonderful tool for managing anger, healing resentment, and setting the stage for self-forgiveness. And sometimes it's easy to forget that anger can actually be a healthy emotion. It can come from a place of wishing things were better or improved, like being angry about the injustices of slave labor, for example, around the world, angry about the way that particular people within society are treated. Expressing it in healthy ways is also useful, because bottling up your anger numbs you to other feelings as well, and it wears on your health too. The late Archbishop Desmond Tutu spoke of how he used what he called righteous anger in his work to bring down the apartheid regime in South Africa. How could you not be angry about that situation in South Africa, where black people were second-class citizens in the country of their birth? So he talks about using what he calls righteous anger to bolster his movement towards the ending of apartheid. This is what you might call justifiable anger. Anger at social injustice. If we can harness the energy associated with that anger, we might achieve great things, as indeed the Archbishop did. Pretending that you're not angry isn't authentic, and people can sense it. Anger has a harmful effect on your health when it's bottled up inside, often just getting hotter and hotter and more reactive the longer we allow it to be there, the longer we leave it uncontrolled. So it can be an emotional roller coaster that puts stress on the body, and it feels dangerous, destructive, and scary for yourself and for others around you. So there are a few ways to bring mindfulness to anger. And one way is to try and diffuse the anger before there's a big blow up. So if you can blow off steam along the way, if you feel anger or frustration building up, try going for a walk or chatting with friends. Sometimes logging into Soberistas and reading a couple of blogs and commenting on a couple of blogs can help. Breathing fully in and out, the 3 deep breaths, can really help in this situation. Taking yourself off to the bathroom and taking the time to wash your hands can help. Or journaling about how you're feeling. Get it written down, get it down on paper, put it into words for yourself. Sometimes writing it down on paper makes you bring an awareness to what actually is going on, what is making you angry. If you feel anger building up in an exchange with a work colleague or a family member, perhaps say, I don't feel comfortable in this conversation at the moment. I wonder if we could talk about it tomorrow. Or, I don't really like the way this conversation is going. I wonder if you wouldn't mind if we could talk about it another time. In other words, try not to accumulate a build-up of irritation that gets out of control to the extent that you feel the need to soothe yourself. And you might feel a righteous need to soothe yourself. It can also be helpful to bring mindfulness to learning more about a situation before jumping to conclusions, before getting angry. Sometimes asking questions or bringing curiosity to what you think you're angry about can lead to the realization that you may have assumed something is different than how it really is. Things are not always as straightforward as you initially thought. Now, this happens to me quite regularly if I'm feeling a bit low and I've got somebody that I really trust in my life that I talk to about it. I run it by John and then I listen to John's response to it. And he will usually have a different take on it than me at that time, at that moment. And so that will help me to get it clearer in my own head before I jump to conclusions. Or jumping to conclusions means reacting. It means phoning somebody up and saying, yeah, well, I'm going to sort this out. I'm going to get this sorted out. How dare they, or whatever. Pause. Tell it to somebody that you trust and whose judgment that you trust, who maybe knows you well enough that they can assist you in sorting it out. And finally, when the emotion of anger is present, see if you can sense internally into the softer emotions beneath the anger. Like hurt, perhaps, or fear. You might pay some attention to these inner emotions taking place below the surface. What does the anger feel like inside your body? And that means going in. That means pausing and going inside your body. How do I feel right now? Can you sense these underlying emotions anywhere in the mind or your body? If you can, simply and gently acknowledge them with a sense of kindness. And remember that these feelings are completely normal. Remember your shared humanity. Remember there's not just you. You're not the only one who feels like the way you feel. There's millions of people feeling like you do right now, at any point in time. So stay with the sensations, show compassion for yourself, reassure yourself, and wish yourself well. So with all that in mind, let's practice these techniques in a mindfulness exercise together that you can do at any time when you're feeling anger. Excuse me, and so let's begin. Bring your attention to whatever is going on for you right now. Give the weight of your body up to gravity. Allow your weight to sink into the points of contact between your body and the floor or the chair or the cushion or the bed. What sensations are there right now? If you notice any tension or resistance towards painful or unpleasant sensations, gently turn towards them. Accept them as best you can. If you begin to tense around the breath, then let go a little bit more with each out breath. Soften into gravity. Notice any thoughts as they arise and pass through your mind with kindness and gentleness. See if you can let them come and go without feeling forced to identify with their content, just observing them as if they were clouds in the sky. Little white wispy clouds in a clear blue sky, and let them pass. Notice any feelings and emotions as they arise. Can you let these come and go? Include everything within your awareness with a kindly perspective. Now, allow your awareness to gather around the experience of the breath deep in your body. Drop your awareness beside the breath and feel the different sensations in the front, back, and sides of your torso. Can you feel your awareness within the flow and movement of your breath? Use the breath to anchor your awareness in the present moment, breathing in the whole body, noticing each inhale and each exhale. Again and again. Each time you notice your mind has wandered, gently guide the mind back to the breath deep in the body. Now, gently expand your awareness to include the whole body. Feel the weight and shape of the body as it sits, stands, or lies. If you've got any pain or discomfort, make sure your awareness stays open to them, cultivating acceptance of them or acknowledgement for all of your experiences. All of your experiences are valid and normal. Welcome them with self-compassion and kindness. Great. Thanks for having the courage to do this exercise with me. The more you practice this, the more you'll be able to diffuse anger and turn it into healthy action and decision making for the benefit of yourself and for others around you. So just to recap on the exercise, sometimes it's easy to forget that anger can actually be a healthy emotion. Expressing it in healthy ways is often useful. But try to diffuse anger before a big blow up, before it gets out of control. Developing strategies for blowing off steam along the way. One of those strategies could be to take yourself out of the situation for a moment, for a few moments. Take yourself out for a walk. One of those strategies could be to have a chat with a friend, somebody you trust, somebody who knows you. Bring mindfulness to learning more about the situation before jumping to any conclusions. It may be that the way that you read things was mistaken, or you read too much into a situation that wasn't there. Remember your shared humanity and the person with whom you are having the transaction. Remember that they might be going through a hard time. Who knows? I used to have students who sometimes would say to me, that particular teacher doesn't like me. And I'd say, well, why is that? And they'd say, well, she walked past me in the corridor this morning and it was like as though she didn't even know me. And I said, that was this morning when she was coming in from home. You have no idea what she was bringing with her. You have no idea what is happening in her life outside of here. It's not everything is not about you. And finally, see if you can sense internally into the softer emotions beneath the anger, like hurt or fear. And bring compassion and kindness to those emotions. I hope that these techniques will help you in some way. And I thank you for your mindfulness. Namaste.